we'll see e-brake initiation out of the lead car there. A decent gap, but Robert definitely understands that he's got a little bit of a power differential there. Real shallow lead run and a huge straighten coming into outer zone number 2 from our lead driver. Robert Izzo back there definitely understands what's going on. He's kind of read the situation. He's playing it a little safe in the chase, which I don't think anybody up here could blame him for at this point. Coming through the end of the course, definitely, starting to work his way back into Dustin. But Trisha was having some issues earlier. I know that she's on a brand new engine. They threw it in this last week. And so this is almost just a test session at this point. I really would like Patricia to be able to make it through comp today. I'd be so stoked there. That would be phenomenal. She's shredding. She's after it. So she's coming through the course. She's looking confident. This is looking a lot better than quite a bit of the runs I've seen out of her this year. I'm super stoked to see her out here. She is chilling and thrashing. Coming through the end of the course, it's looking like she's got
on a wide line where we want them. Corey having some issues there, having a straight and big bobble in the chase, but pulls it back together as the Datsun comes back around. He is back in him, made up that gap like it was nothing. He must have been driving with Zach. He is putting some speed on that thing, and here he goes into the first corner, maybe trying for a burst pass here, but that Datsun truck in the right places. Hard to see trucks out here doing this good, but I really like that lead run. He does on his run up. Looks like he does have a gap. Initiates before the chase driver there. Has about a 2-car gap coming through here. We'll see how he does in this Manji section. Great proximity to that inner clip. Putting it on the line we were talking about, getting close to that K-rail. Oh, look at that. Puts it exactly where he wants it for that outer zone. One tire scraping the dirt right there, but we'll see if the mini truck is going to have any mistakes here, because that's what it will come down to. Looks like Corey has a bunch of angle in the car and ends up making it through without too much there. Could have definitely been a spin. Going to be hard to deliberate on.
A big flick out of Blake, which is always fun to see. It looks like Troy may not have been prepared or ready for that. Definitely a little bit thrown off. Our lead driver, Blake, is where he needs to be for sure. Coming through the lead. There's quite a bit of distance between these two drivers. Our follow driver, Troy, looks like he's struggling to, close that gap there. Blake in the lead in that silver Mustang is just really shooting through the track and is just, and there we go. We've got Troy in the chase, loads the, not wide open though. Definitely really granny shifting the straight out of that lead car. Troy coming through, looking really, quite honestly, just awkward through the end of outer zone number 1, through inner zone number 1 as well. Outer zone number 2, Troy does not even touch in the lead. Our chase driver, Blake, is doing his best to get up there, but he's definitely got, a bit of a wild card, a bit of a mixed bag. Works his way really in there as Troy pinches him off and spins through the last. Expecting both of these guys to have turned it up a little bit, have it figured out, have it a little more intense this time around. Look a little put together. Our lead driver does not look like he's done that, though, coming out outer zone number 1 with either a very shallow offline bit of an excursion there or a straighten. Coming into outer 3, Corey looks like he's putting the heat on that lead driver, doing his best. The lead run's looking a little erratic this time around, which is definitely a bit of a change from our first battle. Coming through the last corner, I'm thinking that Corey kept it up.
It's going to be too much. Under the heat, coming into this first corner, opens it up nice. He's out in that zone where he needs to be. You can hear that M52 on its soft limiter, trying to do everything it can. Nice job on that inner clip to make sure he was right where he needs to be. Great line coming through. Seems like we have a great run coming out of Corey here on this one more time as we come back into this back section. Corey right where he needs to be. The truck right on him, though, doing some left foot braking when he's not that close. Corey with huge angle coming through the last section as he did on the last one, right on that outer edge, kissing the dirt. One wheel. It's a J of some sort. That Corvette, Ludi, he's actually doing a great job in that outer zone. Not a ton of angle, but comes through the zone how we would want them to. Mike already on his door in that Cressida. A little bit funky through the transition from that Vet. Not the exact line that we would want, but gets it done. A little shallow in that outside zone as well. Looks like we're coming through here, and Mike is starting to put on the pressure to other Mike. That Black C6 doing a great job in the lead, running it smooth. Not really hitting all of the points we would hope, but Mike in that Cressida putting it on him nonetheless. Going to be really exciting to see what he's going to be doing in that lead. See if the Corvette can get.
Michael Sell in the lead, throwing it in as fast as he can. Michael Horak Looks like he lacked just a bit of confidence on that entry, which behind Mike Osell is the wrong thing to be doing because he will get away from you. Coming through the course, Michael Horak's making up a bit of ground, but I mean, when you've got Mike Osell in the lead, he's not going to make it easy on you, and you are going to be working for it every step of the way. Coming into outer zone 3, Mike Osell in the lead, looking great. Michael Horak finally starting to get that proximity on the lead car that we're looking for. Coming through the last corner, now we're there, now we're with each other, but it looks like the difference, just a bit of a hesitation down the straight that I heard in his exhaust note. Chris, a little bit inside of him. Chance, very steep angle coming out of that first corner. Might be the most I've seen, but he dips 3 tires off over the line there through the inner zone, so that's definitely going to be a bit hard on him. Threw Chris in the chase off just a touch, but Chris is getting it together as we're coming through the end of the track. You know, naturally a bit thrown off by that earlier inner clip, but really starting to dial it in on Chance in the lead. It looks like Chance definitely has a lot less rear grip coming through the end of the course. I mean, we see Chris just driving into him that whole time. Throwing it in right on the edge of the course like we like to see. A good bit of distance between both of these drivers. Chris coming through, looking a lot more composed through that inner clip like we expect to see from these guys, explaining to him what we need out of the drivers' meeting. Chance looking like he does not have a chance right now to get any proximity here. Like I was saying, that car looked pretty loose, and while he's where he needs to be, he's nowhere near the lead driver. That's going to be a hard deficit for him to catch up on, and I don't think the judges are going to give that to him lightly. These two guys, but Robert naturally not phased. He knows he's got that Corvette power, that Corvette grip. Our lead driver, Jason, looks like he's doing a pretty good job on that lead run. A little bit of an early transition through inner zone 1 makes him set up just a touch awkward. Coming through outer 2, Robert's looking put together, cool, calm, and collected, but he's definitely 2 tires off as we come into outer zone 3 towards the end of the course. It's going to be a big mistake that's going to cost him a lot of proximity, and I mean, while he's smooth back there, he wasn't nearly as close as he could have been.
Versus this C5 Corvette. Looks like Izzo is going to pull out a little bit of a gap. Want to make sure he's coming in that inside zone here on line. Looks like he was a little bit off on that outer clip. As the Mustang makes up some difference here on Izzo. Izzo's going to push it out right to where he needs it to be. Great job on that outer zone. Let's see if he can continue into this outer zone. A little bit of a bobble from the Mustang, but he is really shutting the door here. We're going to see if this can be any more exciting as we come through the last corner. Izzo with a great lead run. That Mustang not going anywhere.
Opening up immediately in this run. Looking unfortunate with an aggressive flick out of Alex in the lead. Putting the car right where it needs to be out there on the wall. Coming through this inner zone. Right where we like him to be. A little bit of a snap. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to keep the car where he needs it to, but for a low power car, he is absolutely shredding, showing a lot of aggression out there in the lead. It's looking phenomenal. Our chase driver looks like he's really struggling to get up to Alex over there in the lead as he just screams away in that E46. I love the flick that Alex does into this last hairpin.
A little bit of a gap that may be by design from Alex. He is going to wait on the entry here. Z with a little bit of a soft entry there. Looks like he might not have enough speed to come through the course. Kind of choking up our chase driver there. Does a good job to stay drifting, even with a little bit of a lockup in the front brakes there. Now let's see how the Z comes through here in this outer zone. Looks like he does a good job of filling it, but here comes that E46 from Alex in the blue. He's on a better line, a little bit more angle, and he is going to be closing the door. Definitely putting proximity into the game here. That had to barely miss the back bumper of that Z. Goes a little bit offline there.
Driver screaming through corner number 1. Jesse looking good all the way out there on the wall. Coming through the inner zone right there. Jesse still definitely just making his way through the course, running it away a little bit. Not fully in that outer zone where we like him to see on outer zone number 2. Coming into outer zone number 3, Jesse's right where he needs to be. Our chase driver, Chris, just not quite where he needs to be, flicking through the course. Jesse gets it finished up, and Chris is fighting to get that in the chase. Coming down the straight, we've got both of these guys throwing it in. We've got a bit of a gap opened up on entry. Jesse was not fully confident in our lead driver. Coming through inner zone number 1, very, very shallow out of our lead car. We saw the car try to grip up a little bit. Nowhere near the outer zone there for our lead driver, Chris Dennison. Jesse Chappelle putting it together behind him, but not really getting nearly as close as we would like to see. coming through the end of the course. Chris throws it in. Jesse throws it in right there with him. Coming across the line. Jesse Chappelle's going to go ahead right on that lead car with full aggression down the straight. Josh Pettingill just real awkward straightens it in the lead through the end of the first corner. Daniel Hedrick behind him doing quite honestly his best in the chase, which at this point is all he can do. Getting it together towards the end of the track. Josh just dropped too much speed through that first corner. Daniel Hedrick in the chase, looking confident in that car that he is, as far as I know, pretty new to. Coming through the last corner, just glued to him. Josh is off the course, and Daniel...
A huge applesauce coming off the line in that Corvette. Josh Pettingill just doing everything he can, but he cannot do enough with all 200 horsepower out of that E46. Looks like Daniel's a little bit off that inner clip, but throwing it through so fast, so exciting. We'll see how he does in this outer zone here, see if Josh can maybe close the gap a little bit. Coming through that outer zone pretty wide, but also pretty inactive chase here from Josh. Giving her no room right from the jump. Patricia putting a little bit of a gap on, but almost no room in that outer zone. The first outer zone looking good on the inner clip here. As we come through these outer zones, we're going to need to see more zones being filled a little bit offline there, kind of using that outer zone as a touch and go. As they come through the end here, it looks like Corey spun out, could not follow that line, so Patricia should have an easy pass into the next battle as long as she can keep it clean. That is a hard one to
down the straight. We've got Corey in the lead, Patricia in the chase. Patricia entering a lot more timid than Corey did, but making up that ground pretty quick. Looks like Corey comes out of outer zone 1 pretty early. The inner's looking good. Patricia definitely struggling to get that proximity up. Corey's outer zone number 2 looking very strong, but Corey coming into outer 3, and he's one tire off. He's a lot wider than we expect him to be in the lead there. Patricia really not getting a whole lot of proximity made up as we come through the end of the course, but a clean run down the straight. Both of these guys right next to each other with an aggressive flick entry. Coming through corner number 1, already see that 350Z making up some ground on Blake in the lead. Coming through the inner, both of us looking great with a bit of a bobble out of Blake in the lead, a little bit of a hesitation, gets into outer zone too late, dips a tire there. The Z a little bit awkward, a little bit cut off, but he is putting the heat on Blake in the lead, and that's what we like to see. Huge straighten out of Nathan in the chase, though. Not sure if he had a car issue there, but man, that was not easy to see.
Going here and get close to this Z. It looks like a little bit of proximity coming through turn 1, about a car or 2 cars back. The Z is going to do a good job coming through inner zone 1. Gets right on the line we want them to, but that Mustang is right behind him, right on his bumper. A little bit of a late transition, a little out of the zone on the Z. But here we go. The Mustang is going to get the opportunity to close the gap. The question is, can he? With a big opposite drift straighten, now we are going to have to go to the tape, take a look, and deliberate on this one to see exactly who is going to get the win with straightens in both.
And there he does, but Chris Kobus not too shook. Just a little bit of distance opens up between them. Coming through corner number 1, immediately putting the heat on him. Chris Kobus is not going to be left behind, and Mike Osell is absolutely right where he needs to be, which is what we expect out of him. Chris looks like he choked a little bit, got a little too aggressive around the inner to outer zone number 2 transition. Coming through the rest of the course, he can't quite make up that ground, but he's still there. He's still fighting, and Mike is right where we expect him to be.
Handbrake pull a little bit early, little bit outside of the zone from our look at things. Mike already on him. No worries, not going to be running away from Mike anytime soon. Transition, both of them make it through cleanly as we come through to outer zone 2 here. The Z where he needs to be, but dropping a tire, super low angle. He's going to be way off of both zones, and unfortunately pushes Mike to an interesting line. Chops the line a little bit, trying to keep that distance. Mike able to clean it up through the blast corner here. That is going to be an excellent performance.
Gave our chase driver a bit of an opportunity to make up, but instead he understeered through the entire first corner. That's not exactly what we like to see, as Jason puts it together through the track, right on the inner, throwing it in. Dips a tire through the outer for about 30 feet, looking a little awkward. Alex in the chase, looking just a little thrown off from that first corner. But as we're off at the end of the course, we've got Jason with a big...
Tires, not really able to get any traction there. Alex is going to come through on a smooth and correct lead line, making sure he fills that outside zone, being super consistent with it. He has been consistent all day. Coming through on the right line. Let's see how he puts it into this outer zone here. The Mustang right on him, though. Not giving him any room, knowing that he can put the exclamation point on this and potentially turn the tables even with that spin. Alex coming through on a great line through that outer. Let's see if they can both keep it together and see what's going to be the lesser of two evils on these. Looks like the Mustang straightens again. That could be the nail in the coffin for Jason Perea. Back knows that Stancy Pants car is not going to go anywhere in front of him, and already stuck to the door of Jesse here. Daniel did not come to play. He's going to make sure that he is in contention regardless of what car he drives, throwing even a little bit more angle on transition, coming right into him as they all go off. Daniel a little bit more off, but stays in it. This is the exciting driving that we want to watch. A little bit of a bobble out of Daniel there as he tries to keep it behind that S13. Does not want to be responsible for ruining that thing's perfect aesthetic, but here we go through this last corner, potential deficit. Daniel absolutely stomping that S13. The S13 might not even be driving behind him as far as Daniel's concerned. We're going to see if in this Manji section, Jesse and that S13 can make up any distance, but it is very hard when you have a gripped up Corvette in front of you to make a difference. Super low angle from the S13, trying to come around this course with as much speed as humanly possible, but we have a ripper in the lead here with Daniel. He is making that Corvette look like his own, putting it in all the right places here, and ultimately making Jesse look like his car.
More aggression out of Blake. Interesting to see how this one's going to play out. Coming through the first corner, Patricia is not all the way out there in the outer zone. And here we go. She's 3 tires off through the inner, leading Blake on quite the wild goose hunt. Coming through outer zone number 2 again. Patricia's not really in the zone at all. Blake is really struggling to adapt to this lead line. Patricia puts it in outer 3 pretty well, but Blake is not really making up the ground. As we're coming towards the end of the course, he gets there. Patricia dumps that dirt.
Entry. Patricia waiting to enter behind him, going super inside to try to make up some ground, and not necessarily the worst thing that we have seen, but very offline. 4 tires off there on the Manji section, potentially having an issue as Blake comes through here, making sure he hits all the marks, hitting all the zones. Unfortunately, some hiccups for Patricia turned into some bigger mistakes, and something we're going to need to take a look at on the replays just to make sure we get all of the facts straight. But right now, looking like a prominent performance from the Mustang. He stays off of my initiation. Alex G a little bit further back does that signature lockup. It almost seems like he may have a bit of a brake issue there because he's still entering normal and with normal flow. Just having a little bit of smoke come off that front tire does not look the best. He's going to try to close the gap here as Mike hits that outside zone perfectly, comes through to this outside zone. Looks like Alex is a little bit off of where he needs to be to close that gap. Fortunately, not able to dive in there. Let's see if he can do it in the last corner here. Mike putting on an absolute masterclass of what a lead line should look like here at PPRC to solidify himself as one of these top 4 drivers for every event. Coming through smooth, filling that outer zone just fine, but Mike is right there, the elephant in the room. Mike in that Cressida, making it known where he's at, but awesome flick from Alex in the lead. Gets right out to that outer zone. A little bit of too little, too late here with a great lead run from Alex, but cannot be shaken is Mike chasing him in that Cressida wagon. He is making sure that he's right where he needs to be. A little bit conservative when it comes to Mike. He can definitely put more sauce on it, but he knows exactly what he needs.
Of applesauce on Blake in the chase. Blake's going to be doing his best to scream on a little bit more of a narrow line through that first corner, and Daniel is going to be doing his best to avoid that being easy for him. Coming through outer zone number 2, Daniel is right where he needs to be, both tires in the zone. So is Blake at the expense of Blake's proximity to the lead. Coming through outer 3, again, Daniel is just screaming along, tire smoking his way through the course, and Blake almost looks like he's doing his own lead run back there. Not really actively chasing, not actively diving. You know, definitely
from Blake in the Mustang. He's going to be right out there where we want him in that outer zone. coming through to the Manji section. The only inner clip on the course, does a great job of negotiating that, but Daniel lurking behind his shoulder, making sure he feels his presence is going to be there. It is his event to win or lose in this chase here. Really exciting to see, and it looks like he's 3 off in that outer zone. Daniel in the chase going way offline there. Great line from the Mustang, but Daniel is going to make sure that we know that he is doring both handbrake pullers here. Izzo not as close as I would like to see him, but Chris Kobus way offline here. Where is he at on that inner clip? Where is he at on that outer zone? Coming through into the back section of this course, Izzo is going to start sticking it to him. We'll see what Chris Kobus can do. He is way offline, hasn't gotten out to a single zone so far, but Izzo not running him over like I asked. So if we're going to be deliberating on this, I'm going to take that into consideration. Let's see if they can turn it up. I'll tell Lee.
Of our grudge match, Robert Izzo throwing it in, but not really throwing. It looked pretty gentle. He's out there, you know, leaves that zone a little bit early, flicks it a little bit gently through this inner. Not really the aggression we were hoping to see out of a grudge match. No one's got run over yet, but, well, I guess the grass has got run over now. Robert Izzo is continuing his run on through the course. None the wiser that the driver behind him is nowhere to be seen, taking the obvious victory here, but lacking in a little bit of that testosterone. I've got a guy really looking that aggressive either. Maybe he's scared of the wall on the course there. Definitely working it a little bit harder this time to get that proximity back as we see Blake in the chase, either straight or almost straight through the inner, but making that a lot more of an active chase there. Screaming his way through. He exceeds the line of the driver as Daniel Hedrick misses outer zone 3 a little bit, chopping the line in a much faster car. We hate to see it.
All the way out to this outer zone 1 here. As we come through, both cars looking poised and in position. A great lead from Blake here. Comes around that inner clip. Little bit shallow coming through this section. We'll see how he deals with it. Little bit of a pedal. They both drop a tire off, but both keep going right out to that outer zone. Let's see how Blake can do to keep this wide open for him. But Daniel is not leaving anything up to chance. He must be conflicted about that last battle. He's making sure that he is absolutely on his G, and possibly his first Final Four appearance, putting the gap on this Mustang. Blake, no stranger to closing the gap as he comes through. A little bit shallow out of that last outer zone from the E46. He's on absolute limiter. Little bit of a bobble and a little bit shallow again off of that zone. But in the last zone, he pulls it together. This is the money zone here. He is chopping the line just a little bit, not giving a ton of space for that Mustang, but the Mustang doesn't need it because it's a couple cars back. We're going to have to go to the flip-flop of this battle to really judge this lead for lead, chase for chase. Unfortunately, a little bit of mistakes out of Alex G in that lead on some of the zones.
Since opening up between these two drivers, Alex's decision to flick with the lead driver definitely loses him a bit of ground, but he immediately makes it up through that first corner. Coming through inner 1, Alex loses a little bit of grip. He got a little bit greedy, didn't back off quite enough for the transition, but he is putting some sauce in. He straightens again, and Blake screams through the rest of the course as Alex is very clearly putting every bit of heat he's got into it. I imagine it's 200 degrees in that car, and I imagine that poor thing is just screaming its way along. Both of these guys, let's see if that forces a mistake or forces some stoke. Screaming through the first corner. Here we've got Mike all the way out there, letting it hang out like he is known to do. Daniel right back there with an early transition, not really chasing Mike as much as he is coming through the course nearby him, which is going to be a deduction. Coming through outer 2, doing a little bit better chasing as Mike runs the correct line. Mike definitely put some grip into the car, looking at how he's making his way through the course, but running just a beautiful lead, and Daniel really putting some heat in him here at the end as we come across.
Sounds like he might have missed a gear, but he's going to take this inside line. He's going to get back onto the door of the vet, and look at that. He's right back in it in that huge smoke screen out of the vet. Super quick transition out of the Corvette there. Mike is right on his door, not letting him get away, not letting him pull the same stuff he pulled on other competitors there. Mike is going to be chasing him down, and we have a little bit of a course cut, but not much from the vet this time. Definitely improved over his last rounds, but Mike right there on him till the bitter end. We are going series. Check that out at our next round on mid-August there. And now we have Dimitri with a huge gap on James here. Looks like he's coming through this Manji section with a ton of speed. Puts it at huge angle here as he comes into this back section. It looks like James is almost straightening behind him. Dimitri sitting on that angle, letting that LS do the work for him, and coming through our course smooth as can be. Not a super fast line from Dimitri, but making sure he hits all of his marks. And there he is, into my dirt. Here we go. James is going to initiate. Seems like he may be having a little bit of a bobble, even in his lead run. Coming through, going to have a little bit tire off the track on that transition there. That's unfortunate to see. Dimitri starting to pull it in, actually dips another tire into the dirt here, and Dimitri is going to work on closing up that gap, making sure he has a nice, easy follow behind James. James looks like he spins out. Luckily, it looks like no contact. We'll have to see how they come out of the smoke. See, what used to be a 240, now just a drift car, unrecognizable almost, is already on his door, but James doing a great job of filling that first zone. Comes through pretty tight on the clip, tighter than we've seen a couple of people. Now we're going to see him come through outer zone 2 here. Fills the whole outer zone with huge angle. We love to see it smoking out the track, and he is going to be coming through outer zone 3 on power. Huge smoke screen for that 240 to battle through. Little tire drop there just for a second. Comes around the last corner of this course that may be getting slippy.
It opens up between these two drivers, but James Ford's not going to let that choke him up as he immediately starts to reel him in with a little bit less angle. Will Rangel definitely leaves outer zone 1 pretty early coming through the course, throwing James Ford off a little bit in the chase. Coming through outer 3, both of these drivers looking great. James Ford almost takes the bumper off of his Corvette using the rear of Will's car right there. Coming through the last hairpin, James Ford showing everybody that he is on today. He knows what's going on. Immediately pedaling it because that car looks a bit faster than that E90. Coming through, it looks like we are right on line, and James Ford is just glued to Dimitri so far. Transitions a little early, takes out the cones on that inner, but he is just nowhere to be lost here. Dimitri with a little dirt drop on outer zone 2. James Ford loses just a little bit of ground right there, got a little nervous on that dirt drop, but he has at no point in this run come out of that pocket on Dimitri. He is putting the heat in, and I think if you got James Ford flicking it in, Dimitri e-braking in behind him. James looking like he's nice and wide out there right on the line. Dimitri cutting the line a little bit to maintain proximity over there. Coming through the inner and then outer zone number 2, Dimitri very straight on a dive as he comes through James's smoke line. Might have got lost there. James screaming through the course, carries it through the entirety of outer zone 3 like we like to see. Coming through the end of the course, Dimitri's got settled. He's dialed now. James is just screaming.